because a lot of what I got was, oh, you know, you're pushing an agenda, you're SJW trash. There's been a lot of, you don't even play games, which, you know, for anyone who actually knows me, that's really funny. And it takes a toll on you, and, you know, not everybody can take it. You know, I'm a contrary asshole. I swear a lot too, so if you're offended by swearing, I'm sorry, but that's just how I am. But it gets to the point where you either have to kind of give in, get out, or get tools and just go, okay, you're done. Luckily, I've not been swatted or doxxed. Does everyone know what doxing is? So doxing is when people troll the internet for your personal information, be it your address, your social security number, and they post it online. For example, when Felicia Day posted about being terrified of Gamergate at a convention, within 4 hours someone had posted her home address. That's what doxing is. So it's been not fun, but it's also made me very aware of, you know, previously having my few hundred Twitter followers and not being that well known to now. It's a whole different experience. So when you are harassed online, you'll get people who hate follow you. You'll get people who, you know, follow you just to argue. So I don't know how active folks are online, but keep that in mind if you decide that you want to jump into an argument, if you have an opinion, that if you're a woman online with an opinion, especially if you're brown, then life is about to get real interesting. By interesting, I mean not fun in the least.
Anybody else? Come on, Jamie.
I assume that you want me to talk about being a white dude on Twitter, right?
Yes, I do.
It's like the best experience ever. So last year, after getting trolled about something, I'm always saying something outrageous, I guess. I decided, as a joke, to put a white guy avatar in my Twitter account profile. And what happened after is that I became much more reasonable to talk to. Like, I was no longer like a nigger bitch, or a stupid nigger bitch, or crazy, crazy nigger bitch. I was just like Chad, the reasonable white dude, who spoke about race in a, you know, a logical way. And, you know, it's amazing, like, how people treat you based on what you present. And so, you know, like when I have my brown face, my avatar, you know, like I can like make a tweet about The Walking Dead. Like I literally tweeted something really innocuous about The Walking Dead a few weeks ago, and a KK dude in my mentions was like, we used to hang you, and I'm like, but dude, I'm just talking about like how much I love The Walking Dead. Why are you talking about hanging me? Like, I mean, it gets crazy, and like, I mean, it's kind of like, I liken it to like walking down the street on a sunny day getting kicked in the balls. Like you're enjoying your day and then like somehow like some asshole just comes and just ruins it. And kind of like Tanya says, it takes a toll on you. So when I posted a white guy on Twitter, like suddenly like the harassment like pretty much went away. Like the worst until I got was like you're a metrosexual.
Yeah, you're a metrosexual.
Yeah,
I remember the tweet because I was like, that's an insult.
Or like, you know, you're gay. It's like, really? Because at the Abbey I had he was like a redhead with a really kicky scarf, and people really loved the scarf. So
I hate
it. It was a signal for some sort of thing. But yeah, I mean it's kind of amazing. But like Mickey was talking about, and what Ty was talking about, there are ways that you know you have to sort of block the idiots from your mentions, and you know it's possible. So
right, and I'll say because I got mine went offline. And a guy decided to send me messages on Facebook telling me I was a nigger bitch and a bunch of other stuff, and that, you know, someone should kill me, and he changed his Addy to a picture of guns. A, I like guns don't scare me. But B, at the time I worked for the federal government. It's a funny thing that happens when you threaten the Fed. It's really funny. Because what happens is that when I have to disclose because that's part of our briefing, right? Like you can't work for the Feds and be threatened and not disclose as part of your security clearance. They look at you and they say, what? Someone said, what? Show me. And you show them. And they're like, okay, we'll see about that. And the agent who went to his house, because sometimes men with badges and guns will come to your door if you decide to play the harassment game. Just so we're clear. If you decide you get on Twitter or Facebook or whatever and you want to use your real name or some variation of your real name and threaten to harm somebody, In 16 jurisdictions, somebody's gonna come to your door. If you're doing it to someone who's a federal employee, someone's gonna come to your door. Other government employees, someone's coming to your door. The agent that went to this guy's door told me that he started reading his messages to him. And the guy started crying. He didn't want his family to hear what he'd been saying to me. He didn't want anyone who knew him to know he'd been saying these things. Because apparently, the guy was 62. He was a grandfather. And he had spent the better part of like 4 days flooding my other inbox and other message box on Facebook. Never go in there. Don't. That other box, just forget it's there. Flooding it with all of his fappy, violent fantasies. And the agent was like, but, hold on. You really sat here and sent these. You can't hear what you wrote? You did send these, right? This is your name, this is your account. Well, yeah, but then we're gonna have this conversation. And, the other thing is that with doxing, if you decide to look me up and you find an address, and this is for anyone in the crowd who might be affiliated with Gamergate or puppies or whatever, I welcome you to go to that door. It's on 91st and Parnell or somewhere thereabouts. Let me know what happens when you get there. I'm gonna say a little prayer for you. So I'll be like, oh, you went to okay, baby. Did you come back? Nobody knows? Okay. Because one of the tricks that you can do if you decide to be one of these people on the internet talking about things, you can get on Spokio and some of the other white page listings, and you can remove your name. You can remove your addresses. And because that's what they're doing, most doxing. It's not this super secret, super elite hacker tactic. They're using public information. Did you have to file a lawsuit? Were you served because your landlord was being foreclosed on? Did you buy a house and it's on one of the lists of public information? All of these things are out there and we don't think about it because frankly, for the most part, most of us aren't going to go out and try and look someone up to send scary messages to them about knowing where they live. We don't care that much, right? But that's what happens. That's the point at which it's gone over the line, right? You're on Facebook and you don't like someone and you say, oh, I hate so-and-so. There's this great thing. You can block them. You can mute them. There are people I don't like on Twitter. I have no idea what they're saying because I can't see you anymore. But if you're doing the hate follow, it's a problem. Also, frankly, for the folks who say, oh, I'm going to come and see you at whatever event like I'm here, we're going to talk about the fact that some of us come with people. You get the mic. There's a mic right there. Come on, homie. Come on. That's my husband. He's being real quiet.
Yes, her husband. And the reason I come with you, she's at a public event I usually come with because she gets a lot of death and rape threats online. We had a situation a few years ago where we were living in Memphis, and she had wrote an article, and some people didn't like what she had to say in the article, and somehow they found out where we lived. And they sent us a picture through a scope of a rifle of her walking in our parking lot with our children. And because that happened, and she gets a different, she's a public figure, she comes to different events. I can do it because I know a lot of these people aren't going to try something if she's not. So one of the reasons why I do like, if you go to a different event, you might see me just lurking in the background. I'm there because of these things.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Sometimes I've been in things and people just come up towards me and then they see him standing behind me, and I literally see the facial expression change. I have no idea what they were going to do or what they were going to say, but it's like, oh, right? So first, let's just check in to make sure there's no audience questions. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Because I think part of this, that I don't think a lot of these people think about, because a lot of people think that it's just a game and not think about the fact that on the other side of the person that threatening them is an actual person, and they have a family, and they have, they might have to worry about protecting their family. So they might get, scared or rattled by these things, so you have to, act accordingly. So.
Yeah, I mean, the expectation is that you're going to call the cops. Everybody knows the cops aren't going to do much. I didn't grow up in a neighborhood where you could call the cops, so plan accordingly.
Yes.
There are people. Yes. Yes, exactly.
So now, Mike, yeah. And actually planning accordingly and knowing your state's laws are very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
My personal harassment 2 years ago, I was revenge porn and doxxed. So when that happened, after I had my initial breakdown, because the one thing that you have to get out of your head, especially as a black woman, is the idea that you did something wrong to make this happen. So I talked to, the first time I didn't even bother going to the cops, because I knew that the cops weren't going to be able to do it. Our police force, our legal force, is about 10, 15 years behind technology than where they need to be, and it's sad. So I went to a couple of lawyers, and I asked I've worked in the legal field for over 15 years. This was my reaction. What are my choices? And unfortunately, he said, you don't really have any. That's the problem with the internet. Shit like that is up there forever. I was fortunate that at least the doxing was in old address. I'm like, I haven't lived there for 7 years. Wow, okay, good. But in addition to that, this is the same person who is also still to this day trying to break into my email and break into my Facebook. And it's a really disconcerting feeling when you're on the train reading your email and all of a sudden your two-step verification pops up while you're reading your email. The only good thing that could ever possibly come out of this mess, and this is because I did push and I did write all of my reps, is that come June 1st, revenge porn will be criminalized in the state of Illinois. So this is definitely something. I didn't go to the cops, but I made connections with my reps.
Yes.
I made connections with my state reps, and I'm so happy that I did. So that is definitely a suggestion that I make. Get to know your state reps. Get to know, especially, I'm lucky, I live up in Edgewater, so I have some awesome state reps. But get to know them, figure out what their platform is, and then send them emails. Communicate with your reps. They will get things done. It'll be slow, but something got done.
Well, and I was going to say, before we get to the first round of lightning questions, one of the things about this is that things that are not illegal now, the more that this makes the news, the more likely it is to become illegal. So there are already people finding out the hard way as they live in various jurisdictions where they decide to perpetrate a swatting or whatever, that you can go to jail now. You couldn't last year, but you can this year. So this is one of those things to think about as we move through this process of talking about how trolling has moved on to stalking. I see a couple people sort of doing the fainting, like, maybe I can raise my hand, maybe I can't, which is why I was about to ask.
Something real quick? So one thing we haven't talked about is if you are employed, talk to the people at your job, because I've had articles written about me in somewhat major publications, and we know that folks who talk about certain things online have had their bosses emailed or called. So if you have a good relationship, either let HR know directly, let your supervisor know that if you get some weird ass email about stuff I'm supposedly doing, come and ask me, or read it yourself. So if someone emails you and talks some kind of weird shit about things I'm supposedly doing, you've already read it and you know it's not true. Because unfortunately for me, I work at a university and I Google myself. The first thing that comes up is where I work, the location, and my phone number. And that, unfortunately, is not much I can change. So I work in Glass Cube, but our security carries guns, and they're aware of things that go on. And I have no shame about carrying myself, not a gun, because I'm terrified of guns, I'm not making. But I do, I'm very aware of the fact that a lot of people know my name and my face, and I work in a very public space, so that could be dangerous. So again, if you are employed, let your employer know what's going on. Because if somebody just shows up at your job, depending on where you work, they can just tell them to go right ahead.
Right. Okay, so quick lightning question round. Anyone have questions?